Welcome to the lunch table, your one and only exclusive lunchtime podcast.
Okay, so last time when we were all together without a guest, because Jamie interrupted last time, we talked about work experiences. I just wanted to share another unique one that I had, or actually two unique ones that I had in that time period. So, this guy went up to me when I was shopping around the store, and he goes up to me and he's like, "Do you have those things that pull and push stuff in you?" And I was like, "Huh?" And he's like, and then he's doing the injection thing by his arm, and he's like, syringe, do you guys have those here? I'm like, does this boy really just come up to me and be like, you got one of those things that I can inject heroin into me with? Like one of those things? And I was just like, what? I don't think we have those. And then, so that was odd enough. And then I go tell one of my coworkers it just happened. She was like, "Oh yeah, just the other week when after I left, after a half hour after I left, someone found a dead body overdose in the bathroom."
Oh God.
I was like, Jesus Christ. So that stuff is happening at my work. Any updates for you, Ray?
Not really. Nothing extravagant.
Yeah, I'm not going in. All I can say is I'm not going into that bathroom anytime soon. But
Wolfgang, it's all your fault. He
all
died.
right.
You should have given him a syringe.
I wasn't there that day. It wasn't that guy because I came back and told her that when it just happened, and she said it was a week prior to that happened.
Okay.
I had an interesting.
Or actually, I'm not even sure if the guy did die. What, Justin?
I had an interesting experience with drug addicts not too long ago.
Man, what was that?
So, I'm with Sam and Jack and Macy, right? And we were like, let's go to the mall since we couldn't go bowling. We come back out from the mall, and this random lady that's shaking is pale and almost sweating, and it was pretty cold that night too. Comes up and it's just like, so can you? I need help. Can you guys spare anything, food, money, just anything? And then started pulling out here's my nurse's license. Here's all this information, and then we're all just like, okay, we know the clear way to get out of this. You just go. We just spent all the money in the mall. We got to get home. Jack, on the other hand, decides to start asking questions. Pretty sure he'd get robbed if we ever had any scenario happen in real, any other person come up to us and ask for money. He would probably get robbed because of this. But he asked some questions, and we're standing there for nearly 20 minutes. And finally, Sam walks up and goes, dude, we gotta get home. And Jack's like, oh, yeah, and grabs out a $20 bill and hands it to her. Now, that already didn't seem stupid. She starts bawling and everything, and is like, thank you so much. We drive away. She went up to a different homeless person and handed him a $20 bill, and he started reaching into his bag. We're pretty sure she just bought drugs. And I was like, good job, Jack. Good job. You just gave someone money to buy drugs.
And he's like, pleasure doing business.
We were like, why'd you ask so many questions? He was like, what? I was trying to figure out if they were real or not. And we were like, and Sam just goes, dude, if they come up to you and start asking you for money, then they're clearly on drugs.
Oh yeah, we have people do that outside of all the time.
If you actually need money, you're not usually going up to random people that you see and going, can you spare any money at all?
Yeah, I don't know. We have a drug dealing hotel right next to us, so they just flow over from there.
Oh God.
And speaking of drugs, so during the presidential election, there were other elections, obviously. And one of the things that was up for election in Oregon, the state of Oregon, was to make the consumption of all drugs legal. I want you to take a guess on whether it passed or not.
I'm pretty sure it didn't pass. Something like that. I heard about that.
It did. It
Yeah,
passed.
it did.
All drugs are now, or I think
It's legal for possession
once
and
like,
consumption, but like selling and buying isn't legal.
yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, as long as if you're like selling heroin, you get in trouble, but you can shoot up. And basically, the intention is that they give these people safer spots so they're not doing them in like alleyways trying to hide from people.
I
Hmm.
mean,
They're doing them in like a safe place so they don't get hurt or like and less likely to get overdosed.
I see what they're
Bad
trying
drugs
to
and
do
breathe.
though. Like by making them like more acceptable and legal, you can kind of allow for more regulation of them rather than just having people just do them fucking illegally in the back alleyway and die.
I definitely think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's basically like saying the war on drugs hasn't worked, so let's try something new. And I know I haven't like looked into it a bunch, but I know this has been legal in Amsterdam for a while, which is the capital city of the Netherlands. And basically, what they do is like they have places like designated buildings that they can go, and they'll have like clean needles for you to use, and you can inject them there. And it's basically like that. And I don't know, it seems smart as long as you're not like promoting, as long as there's not like commercials like try our heroin, we're selling it here. Like as long as it doesn't get like that, and they're like actually trying to advertise it as a good thing, as long as they're still advertising it as a bad thing, but allowing them to have a safe space to do it, I feel like that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also did legalize the sell of shrooms. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, shrooms aren't terrible,
I
so
mean, you can't really OD on them, so. And I mean, Amsterdam and like a lot of places in Europe have them legalized. You can just go to a dispensary and buy them.
yeah, Amsterdam is a very free city. Like, have you ever heard of the red light district?
Yeah.
Ray, how about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Amsterdam. So that seems like kind of a shits and giggles city. Like we do what we want, and it's kind of just okay. Hope you like
We have
us.
fun here.
Yeah, I mean, like you can walk like a block down and like walk past the red light district and just see a whole bunch of prostitutes lined up. Like this is how my grandpa said he went there, and he didn't like use any of them. He went there with his wife, and they were like probably like 70 at the time. And because like after they retired, they've kind of traveled the world, and they went to like 60 different countries and like every state.
Hmm.
So and they went to when they went to Amsterdam, they were just curious, so they checked it out. And he said, they're like, it's almost like when you see a mannequin in like a store window showing off clothes, but it's like the girl being shown off in the window. She's just standing there naked. And you just walk down, and there's like girls on each side of you, and then there's like a door that you can enter, and then some have like black curtains over them. I'm pretty sure he said, and those are like the ones in use.
Oh my god.
So you could pretty much just like now in Amsterdam go from like I'm gonna go shoot up some heroin and then walk down five. I have 5 blocks and go prostitute.
Makes sense.
I mean, honestly, I guess my thought on it on both those things is people are really gonna want to do them. They're not gonna stop them, and what good are you doing by punishing them?
I don't see what's even wrong with it. Either thing.
I mean,
Like, obviously, this,
the hard
this
drugs I do, I see
personally,
how that could go
personally,
very wrong.
personally, I think all drugs should be completely legal. They should just be restricted. and you have to obtain certain licenses to get them. But I don't think there should be any drugs that are completely illegal to the public,
Yeah.
personally.
I think that's
I mean,
fine as long as
also,
we still have like health classes and stuff that inform people the negative side effects of doing these things.
oh, and like have Surgeon General warnings on everything and stuff like that. But like,
Yeah.
it also
Here's
allows for people to easier like up until like a couple years ago, there was no research for anything like marijuana or shrooms or any psychedelics, pretty much anything. But it's just now becoming acceptable to do so. So you're able to find the benefits of certain drugs or things that may be able to help people that have like terminal illnesses.
Or PTSD.
Yeah, like certain psychedelics helping with PTSD.
I don't think any victimless crime should necessarily be illegal, and that includes drugs and prostitution. Because why is prostitution even illegal? Like
I don't know.
I don't see
The one
why
I
it's
never.
harmful. Just because
I
people
don't
I
think
mean, I
understand.
do
just
understand the
because people are
dangers
grossed out
of
by it, like that.
prostitution, but like you kind of know what you're getting into.
I mean,
Yeah, I think part of it might be is that like it's trying to slow down sex trafficking,
maybe.
but that would be the only like logical conclusion I could come up with
Well, if you make it
of
illegal,
why it
then
would
it's
be
more
illegal.
likely to have sex trafficking involved.
That's probably true. Because if they could do it legally versus illegally, they would probably choose legally more often.
Right, but if you could legally do it and you could go through a legal process to make it legal for you to do it, then I'm pretty sure that would make it easier to distinguish people who are sex trafficking versus just regular
Yeah,
prostitutes.
I don't see the problem if people want to do it. I mean, like, personally, I would not go out and hire a prostitute, but I don't see the problem
But see,
with
that's
it.
the thing. It should be
So,
it should be your personal choice.
and it should be the girl. If the girl is super freaking, like, physically attractive and wants to make money off of that, well, why can't they?
I mean, if you can be a stripper legally, like,
Yeah, I agree. Or, like, a porn star, or whatever.
oh, it's legal as long as it's being filmed in the U.S. So you could just literally like be having sex with a prostitute. The cops could break down the door and be like, "This is illegal," and then you're like, "No, no, no, it's being filmed. We're good."
Yeah, that's definitely weird. Alright. I don't know. Do you got anything else to say on this? Because I feel like it is like it's so whack. Like when I first thought about it, I was like, "There's no way," because we've been such programmed like these things should be illegal. Then when I really thought about it, I was like, "That's actually a good idea, not a bad one."
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction, but I think it should go even further than that. I
I
I,
mean,
I think that
what do you?
I think selling it and purchasing it should also be legal under certain circumstances.
That I'm not sure
Well,
because
if you make
I
selling
think
it legal, it makes it so that it's safer and it's not going to be laced with something worse. Like, yeah,
Well,
that's true, but I
I'm just
really
saying
don't
if
but
it's legal
like,
to consume it, why is it illegal to sell it?
because they don't want people to consume it. They're just trying to make it safer for the people who are going to no matter
well,
what.
that's why you should make selling it legal. Because if you make selling it legal, then it makes the people who are going to consume it already safer to begin with. Like, if you decide to go
I'm
out and
scared of
be a
things
drug
like
dealer and you want to
corporate
buy
greed.
something, the likelihood of it being laced or having something in it that is like a filler product or something is very high because they're kind of sleazy when it comes to that.
Yeah,
They're just trying to make
I don't
money.
think it should be. I don't know. I think whether
I'm afraid of corporate greed. That like people are going like they're gonna try and get people addicted to them. Cause like we've been taught and we know the side effects, but what happens is it's legalized now and then slowly over time, like people start to
yeah,
forget the negative side effects and then it's just like fed to people like it's nothing
well,
Well, it's
that's obvious.
usually
and
the
then
That's
they
same
get
definitely
thing as
not
like
the
addicted
case.
on it.
There's no
cigarettes
way people are
do.
just going
You
to
just
forget the
you
side
would have the
effects.
Surgeon General warning. You have the same health class and everything that says that it can do these things,
Nicholas,
shouldn't do it type thing.
think
Like,
about cigarettes. Do young kids smoke cigarettes anymore?
No.
No one does, and they're
And
perfectly legal to sell. They're legal to buy. They're legal to use. No, but no one uses them because public is smart enough to figure it out. Obviously, there's still going to be people who are dumb and use it anyway.
Well,
But
that's
as
the
far as
thing.
I'm
I would,
concerned, as far as I'm
I
concerned, that's
agree
not
with
Frowned
you.
necessarily
upon by the
beneficial.
public. That's why no one does it. Smoking cigarettes is considered disgusting. If you see someone shooting up heroin in the bathroom, you're gonna be looked down upon by society, no matter if it's legal or not.
Just because it's legal to buy heroin doesn't mean everyone's going to go start doing it.
That's true. I mean, like, I don't think it's gonna be an immediate thing. I think over time that maybe like
No.
if a company is based around selling heroin, they get a lot of money. They When you get money, you get influence, and when you get influence, you can change laws.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
and the laws should be changed.
So that's what I mean. Yes, right now they can be changed, but what happens when that company gets influence later, and these things like the warning and telling people and being required to inform people of the negative side effects go away because they get enough influence through money to get rid of these precautions.
You know how much.
And I don't think that would happen right away, but I think there would be an eventual time where that maybe could happen 50 to 100 years down the
Well,
road.
That's
just look
never
at
happened
cigarettes
with
again.
cigarettes. And you know how much money they get in and how much pull they probably have, and it's never happened once.
Yeah,
Because
no, I
there's
don't.
certain things that even though, like, I'm sure even Ray has this belief that certain me and him have the belief that certain things should have less government, but things like a hardcore drug should still have some influence by a central government, like saying this needs to be a thing. This has to be a restriction on it. A business can't just be like, "Oh, we're just going to sell heroin and tell everyone that it's perfectly fine to use and it's safe and healthy."
You know what I think the perfect solution would be to it is make it a constitutional amendment. I know it's really hard to do, but that would be perfect because a constitutional amendment isn't going to be overturned by some company with a lot of money and interest groups. It just won't be. So if they make an amendment that all drugs are legal, but there has to be these precautions set in place, I think that would work perfectly.
I mean, maybe, but I
The
don't
only
think
problem is that would never happen
I don't
eventually.
think we have to ever really be worried about people running around using heroin like crazy and not think it's perfectly healthy. I just don't see that ever happening like 100 years from now. Because people,
That's what I mean. Like, you don't see it because you've been trained in your brain, but what happens when that like training slowly goes away?
Well, our point is that it hasn't with any other drug. It hasn't with alcohol. It hasn't with fucking cigarettes.
At this point, because at this point we're still trying to battle this drug war, but what happens when it turns around and the drug war is no longer a thing and we're saying these things are now fine
Well, dude, we're
I
over
not
don't think it's
time?
because of the.
directly affected by the war on drugs. You're acting as if every single day I walk out and I see like a bunch of people getting affected by it and everything. Like, not
I don't
everyone
think
is
the
No,
reason
directly
that
you're
people.
not.
affected by a
I
war
don't
on
think the
drugs,
reason
so
people
it's
think
not going to
heroin
be
is
an
bad is
issue.
because of the war on drugs. I'm pretty sure people just know it's bad because you see what happens. I think people who do heroin and who are addicted to heroin do not live normal lives. They become addicted and their lives are obsessed. And I think that's always going to be prevalent. People are always going to know what it looks like to do heroin.
I guess that's true. I mean, but like I personally have never really known someone addicted. Like I've seen a couple people that I suspect are, but I really don't know them, and it was just in passing. So I feel like if I wasn't taught from a very young age about this, that would maybe would have slipped into my brain. You know, you just I guess I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm saying I'm scared that there's a possibility it could happen. Not even a likely possibility, just a possibility.
Well, I guess, but I don't think being afraid of like the possibility of something happening should stop people from legally being able to do something.
I
Like,
guess. I mean, I don't disagree with you there. I think maybe making it legal to sell it may be a step too far because I think the power and influence that like the new open market that would cause may have a more negative influence
Well,
where making it just legal to use would still keep that like corporate greed out of it.
Okay, so I do know that like weed isn't a severe horrible drug like heroin, but that literally has happened with weed like over time. They decided to make it legal in a couple states, see what happens, and there hasn't exactly been an extreme corporate greed to try to get people severely addicted to weed because there's still government regulation of it. Like, and trying to
Well,
get
you could
an
talk about
amendment put
nicotine.
in isn't going to happen because, like, okay, take Pennsylvania for example. It's illegal to even like try to get a bong shipped to Pennsylvania because the DEA is in that state. There's no possible way for that state or like the state that Washington D.C. is in to ever pretty much actually have anything legalized in because it's right where the government is. Like, trying to get a full on change is just way too much work and it's going to take way too much time to actually do anything.
I think you could
Yeah,
I think you could look at nicotine and like juuling and vaping as a pretty good example. Like those are pretty damn addictive, and I think there's a lot of marketing by corporations to try to get people to use them and become addicted to them. Like they literally have like ads targeted at children to try to get them to try like the fruity flavors and shit. And it worked, but you don't see them like influencing the government to start educating on them being not being bad.
that's true. I mean, like, I hope that it won't happen, but I see it being a possibility, you know? And I think it's just something that you have to think about because nicotine, as bad as it is, you're not gonna, well, you may die over a long period of use of it. It may like corrupt your lungs. Heroin, you could be addicted for like less than 6 months and overdose.
That's
There's a huge
in my opinion
possibility.
that makes nicotine worse because you're not even seeing the immediate effects of it. Because with nicotine, someone could be using it all the time and you might look at them and be like, "Oh, they look fine." So it's probably fine if I use it. Versus heroin, if you look at someone who's using heroin, it's not going to take that long for you to realize that they're not doing too well.
That's true. I see what you mean. Like, that it's not easy to hide the fact that heroin's
Like
bad.
if you
Yeah.
look at any heroin or like meth addict, they look really skinny and look like they're about to die even if they aren't.
I mean, the primary way that people start doing drugs or like nicotine or anything like that is through someone they know that already does it.
That's true. That's true. All right. I see your point, and like I get it, and I think it's more likely that your possibility would happen. I would still stick with the precaution of not making it legal to sell and just making it legal to use, but I wouldn't be totally against the idea. But I definitely do think more legalization is definitely the right way to go with drugs because and the other thing we have to do is let the people out of jail who were priorly convicted of those crimes if they are then made legal.
Yeah.
Like if state makes weed legal, like it's a good possibility Wisconsin is gonna make it legal soon. Cause like
I mean, almost
not
every
well
state
this
around
year.
us has. I think it's been Michigan, um, Illinois. I don't think we even have it legally, like medicinally yet. Not that I
No,
know of. We have it. We have
we
like
have
a
it
real
legally for
public
medical use.
policy for it every time that I've checked.
We have it legal for medical use. But so what I saw was like a couple years back we had a vote on whether you would want it. It was like it was an opinion vote. It wasn't an actual vote, but it was about like 52 to 48 saying that they would be in favor of legalizing it. So I think it's a good chance that it could happen
Well,
soon
and I'm
in
sure it's
Wisconsin.
probably raised since then, since there's like an entire new generation just starting to vote. And let's be real here, the younger generation, the younger the generation, the more likely they are to have weed legalized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the more old people die, the more likely.
Yeah, okay. But can I get back to my point? All right. So the the more if once we legalize weed, anyone serving any time for any weed related punishment, should be then let out. Like we shouldn't. Let's say
Well, not any.
one of the drug dealers in our town was caught with a bunch of weed with the intent to sell, went to jail for 5 years. 2 years weed is made legal. They should be let out of jail.
Yeah,
And
because
that should then.
that's stupid to be
And I
wasting.
think also that should be taken off their record.
That's stupid to be wasting resources on an inmate who is in prison for something that isn't even illegal anymore.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why it needs to be made illegal or legal, because most, especially on the Democratic side, I would say they always complain about prison rates, and I agree with them to a point that for all these drug related crimes, I can't exactly say I do support those people being in jail.
No.
I guess I do understand though that I do get slightly mad when they make these arguments that these people shouldn't be in jail, because technically they should. They knew the law and they broke it, and they should be able to face the punishment for it. But I do agree with the point that it shouldn't be illegal in the first place. But once it's legal,
that kind of brings you back to the
have to
argument of like victimless crimes and how stupid they are. Like marijuana and like the war on drugs, prostitution, things like that. People being in jail for that is just really stupid because there's no victim to the crime. They're wasting government money on being put in jail, and they're held in jail, and our jail rates are super high, like way higher than any other country. It's really retarded.
And we waste so much money, like tax money, on jails and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree that those would be two very big steps in the right directions. Legalize them and let out criminals. And I think it's also crucial that they get the criminal record gone too, because if they don't do that, then they're going to be living a life on food stamps because people won't hire them and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think though that it should be looked at what the actual circumstances were though. Like if they decided to be under the influence and they were driving around, I feel like you should still have to serve a little, like not as much time as it was since it's legal, but still like serve some of that time because you decided to drive under the influence.
Yeah, like that's a separate law.
I think
at risk.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. I'm pretty sure DUIs would still be a thing.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like it should depend on like.
I think if you were a drug dealer caught with an illegal firearm, again, then you would just be charged with a legal firearm crime, and then like the weed relationship of your sentence would be taken. Yeah. Yes. All right. Okay. I wanna move on, because have you guys seen either one of the Borat movies?
No.
Really? Like Max hasn't showed you one of them? He's the one who showed me the original. So basically what it is this guy from Kazakhstan. He's a journalist and he comes to America and he doesn't like understand the culture, and it's fantastic, and it's like the most unpolitically correct thing ever, and I love it because the first one came out in 2005. The second one came out in 2020, and like, oh my god, we all know this year it's been like, so you got to be politically correct and stuff like that, and it just does not give a fuck. Like, there is one scene where they walk into a salon because he's getting ready to propose. Like, the whole movie's plot is about him getting forgiveness for his country from the last movie. This is the second one, and using his daughter to do that by selling or like giving his daughter as a sexual gift to the president of the United States.
Oh god.
So he goes in and it's like a salon, and he's just like, and the lady at the salon like, can I see your hair? Oh, and let me just say, this girl is like 14 years old. She's not like 20. She's 14. And the girl at the salon like, can I see your hair? And she lifts up her skirt.
Oh,
and I'm just like, oh my god. I was dead. or or like an adult, like a 60-year-old adult, is about to have sex with her, and then her dad had like runs in there, and he's like, no, 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 don't have sex with her. She's too old for you. And it's just like, I don't know. You should definitely watch it, and it's literally the most unpolitically correct thing I've seen in a while, and it's fantastic because it's just like it's well thought out. It's meant to be dark humor, and it pulls it off perfectly. And I think those things, and people are criticizing it online, and I don't see why, because I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's
It's
not
meant to be
surprising.
humor, but like I don't know. I don't get the whole politically correct movement. Why does everyone have to be like, oh my gosh, this offends me when it shouldn't offend you? Like it doesn't have anything to do with you.
My sister has started to become offended by everything. That's really saddening me.
Oh Jesus.
She was watching
Yeah, I don't.
she was watching this cartoon, and there's like this so there's this character in the cartoon which is a female, right? And I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
The female was the cartoon character for the female was a ball of yarn, and that offended my sister that they made the female a ball of yarn, and I was just like,
Well, just
My
oh
dear
god,
God.
what? Because women sew or something like that?
yeah, I don't know. So it was like this it was about this woman who was going into this um factory, and the factory was mostly run by men at the time, and the cartoon was trying to portray how like out of place the woman felt because it was like surrounded by men. So they made a ball of yarn in the factory, and my sister's sitting there like, women don't have to sew or be like use yarn. That's offensive. That's really sexist. And I was just sitting there like, that's literally the whole point. They're making the character seem out of place by making it a ball of yarn in a factory. It's like the whole point of it being a ball of yarn. Like it's not offensive. It just made me extremely sad. And there's so many examples
Like,
of
what
it.
are we coming to?
She literally just gets offended by everything. She just calls everything. I there's this actress. We were watching a movie and there's this female actress, and she was playing this extremely like attractive role in the movie. She was like supposed to be like this super like famous attractive person, like fashion model person. And I commented on the movie. I was like, she's supposed to be super attractive in this movie, and she's not even that attractive. Doesn't make sense to me. My sister's like, oh my god, Ray, you're being so sexist. An actress's worth isn't based on how pretty she is. And I was just like,
Yeah, it is.
oh my god.
That's kind of the point of an actress. That's like saying a model doesn't have to be attractive, okay? They don't have to portray what
That's not.
everyone wants to see.
No, she's like,
That's
oh,
not specifically true.
she's like,
In that
no, no.
role, yes.
Here's the thing. It's not. I wasn't saying that the actress was unattractive. I was saying the actress was too unattractive for the role in the movie. And my sister said I was sexist.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But like, I agree with you. I was just saying what's Justice's argument that an actress doesn't have to be beautiful. They
Well,
can be
I'm
as
not
ugly
saying
as
they
they
have to
want,
be
but then
beautiful.
they just have to be in a role where that
Well,
makes
yeah,
sense. You
that's
know,
what I was basically.
they
Everything
can't.
that an actor or an actress does is based upon how they look. They're not going to be given a role because, like, let's say there's a very fat like guy, right, going out for the role to be a like Superman. He's not going to get the role because he doesn't fit the part. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, now I'm seeing what you're saying, Justin. He's just saying that like the entire point of an actor and actress is to fit the role of a movie based on how
exactly.
they look. Yeah.
If they don't fit the role, they shouldn't be in the role. Oh my
There's other
god!
examples.
Did you
She's
guys see
going
the
on
new
this.
Bat? Okay, so you know how they made that one dude become Batman? I forgot what his name.
Robert Pattinson, the guy from Twilight. I saw the first trailer. I don't
Did you
know if there
see
was
what he's
another one.
doing? So he's playing
On
Batman, right? And every single one of the like directors, producers, everyone has been telling him to try to go like and diet and try to go and work out because he's playing Batman. He's a superhero. He needs to be in shape to be that part. And he said, and he just has said, no, I'm not going to do that because it creates a biased culture for actors and actresses playing
What?
superheroes. He refuses to work out for a role of a person who works out and is a martial artist and refuses to do it.
I don't know. The one so about
Like,
that
it's funny
movie I've
making
seen.
superheroes scrawny and weak.
Well, it's supposed to be more of a detective film. That's what it's supposed to be because Batman is the greatest detective, and that's what Matt Reeves, the director of the film, said he wants it to be less focused on like action and more like his detective skills. But regardless, Batman should still be in shape because that's what makes him Batman.
Well, yeah, like
Yeah.
And
it's literally
I don't
in
know,
like
if he
every
can't
book.
fight, he's not going to be Batman.
He's supposed to know like almost every martial art and be able to do it really well. He was trained to be that way. So why the hell would you not have him be in shape?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know, but the movie to me looks really good. Like Matt Reeves knows what he's doing. He's a good director. I think it'll be a good movie still, regardless of what he looks like in the film. But I do definitely agree that he should be big and get big. Like even Chris
Try.
Pratt, fat guy. He was literally fat guy. I pretty much in Parks and Rec. Like that's what he
Yeah.
was. He was like a fat comedy guy, and he even got fucking ripped to play a Star Lord who's not even like meant to
Well,
be that great of a fighter or
the
anything.
original reason why he did get ripped is because before that role he was playing a what was it called? A Navy SEAL in a movie. So he got
Oh,
ripped
I didn't
for
know
that,
that.
but then he was like, "Oh, I'm playing a superhero, so let's continue this and try to get like lean for that role, since that's kind of the point of a superhero."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the whole
Like
like make
Christian
that
Bale went
okay
from
thing.
being a complete skinny person in one movie and bulked up so that he could play Batman because he was like, "Oh, I'm playing Batman. I need to get that way."
Okay, let's. Christian Bale is a
Okay,
level above
I understand that
everyone,
Christian
though.
Bale's a little bit crazy, but like still like he had the realization that oh, I still like he didn't just go back to his normal weight and then play the role. He continued to bulk up and gain muscle from there cuz that was necessary for the role.
Yeah, I agree with that, but like Christian Bale is like he's elite. Like I mean, Norman Bates, like that character is iconic. Like you could name so many iconic Christian Bale roles, and they're all so vastly different.
Yeah.
Like Batman, Norman Bates. I can't remember the name of the guy, but I know what you're talking about. The movie where he
Machinist
had to get really
was what
skinny.
it was called.
Oh,
What?
Machinist.
yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
he w-
Didn't he weigh like 100 pounds or something for that movie?
Yeah, you could actually see his entire spine.
Well, and then like speaking of DC movies, Joaquin Phoenix, he's another actor that's like above. Like he's been bulked out. He got super skinny for the Joker, and you know, I mean, like there's actors
Or
that
like
are a cut
Tom
above, but
Hardy,
I
right?
think
He played Bane. He literally put on so much muscle that it started to harm his body to become that role. Because that was
yeah,
Bane's supposed to be this huge guy, really big and muscular.
and I guess that's what annoys me the most about this thing about Robert Pattinson that in the past people had to put in this work to get these blockbuster roles to be the best, be the top level of Hollywood, and he's not doing it just because oh we don't want to shame people's bodies. I'm sorry, but there physically is the healthiest body. There is healthy body types and what would be good in fighting and what wouldn't be. And whether you are that or aren't that, you should accept that that is what you are. You should not be trying to change the reality because you're fat. If you're fat, that's fine, but
That's another.
I don't have a
Well, if
problem
you
with it, but
didn't,
don't try and make it like it's okay.
well, also like if
or
you
not.
didn't want, like, okay, when you go to take a role, you know, like, you decided to choose that role. You knew what was going to be involved. Like, you know that Batman is a freaking is supposed to be muscular, so you know that's probably going to be wanted and almost necessary. You shouldn't take a role and then and be like, oh, can you like do this for the role since he's supposed to look this way, and then just say no. At that point, you should be fired from the role. You didn't get the memo. You didn't do what the role was supposed to be. You knew what was involved for the role.
Yeah, I
Like
agree
going and
with that
taking
too,
a
and it just
job. Like, let's say I'm working at McDonald's and I'm like, oh, I thought I was going to be doing the financial aspect of this. Like, I thought I was going to be, counting all the money the business is making and being the complete manager when it's my first day on the job. Like,
yeah, I agree with you like for sure, but I don't know the whole motivation behind it kind of pisses me off more because I don't see what good it's doing anyone. I don't see I see the goodness of like try, even though I don't full heartedly agree with like how they're going about it, but I see the intentions of things like Black Lives Matter, like pushing for rights for gay people and everything like that. I see the intention and how being black or being gay doesn't affect your physical health, but being overweight does. It's not good for you whatsoever. You're gonna die younger. You're not gonna be like it literally affects your mental health. You're not as happy when you're fat and you're not eating unhealthy. So why are or like when you're skinny and the more in shape you are, the more or mentally happy you are. So why are we pushing this stuff that body positivity and stuff is you want to be fine with your body, that's fine, but there is a healthy standard and we should be keeping to that, and it doesn't make any sense that as the fattest country we're just instead of trying to fix that we're the fattest country, we're trying to normalize being fat, and we're trying to change the rest of society to fit that we're already fat instead of make fix the problem at hand. We're trying to make it not a problem,
Yeah,
which I feel is
I think
dangerous.
I think where Pattinson's coming from when it comes to his stance might root from that, where he's trying to, normalize like the regular male body, but there's also the fact that he's playing a superhero. I mean, superheroes aren't really supposed to be normal. And a lot of times in movies, they'll take a normal character and they'll like get them really jacked for like no reason, and I can see why that would be kind of stupid. Because a lot of times in Hollywood, these guys aren't getting jacked naturally; they're taking steroids. Like I'm 100% sure that like 80-85% of Hollywood actors in huge movies, when they get really jacked, they're using steroids to get there. They're not. They're doing this in months, right?
yeah, they're doing
They're
like
not
steroids.
taking years and years to get jacked. They're doing it in like 5 months. That doesn't happen without steroids, and a lot of times they can get so big that it's just not naturally obtainable. So that can damage society a little bit and make people expect dudes, and it happens with women obviously too, to look different than is even healthy or naturally obtainable. But when it comes to a superhero role, that's a little bit different because Batman isn't supposed to be a normal guy. Batman's supposed to be like the next level, like an
Well,
insane
yeah.
person. So it makes sense that he would have a physique that's unobtainable.
Well,
Yeah, I
also
agree with
has the
that.
thing where, like, okay, Batman doesn't have any superpowers. So he kind of has to make up for that fact by being in extreme shape and having all the like martial arts skills, cuz he doesn't have super strength or like laser eyes or something to go along with it. He has to have that. Otherwise he's
Justice,
just a
you're
skinhead
forgetting something.
that dresses up like a bat.
You're forgetting the most important superpower yet, though. He's rich. I mean, like,
Well, that just
duh.
makes it even more reasonable why he would be in so much shape. That makes it reasonable that, like, oh, he's in shape and he's rich, so it makes sense that he can be that way. That's obtainable for him.
I
It's not
think
like
I
he's
think a
some poor
better
dude.
I think a better movie for Pattinson's sort of body positivity protest would probably be a movie with like Zac Efron in it, where he's like super lean and like super muscular for like no reason. Like, um, the movie
No,
Neighbors.
I think
He's
that's
on
bad though because like
he's on
I don't
steroids.
think he, I don't think so.
He
He's
is.
not that.
He was at least
He's not big. He's lean.
there's no way that he got
He stays at a body fat of like
that big and
5%
lean
for
right
like the
away.
entire process of making a movie. That doesn't happen naturally. The dude's on steroids. He's taking steroids to stay lean, and he does it for movies like Neighbors, where he's literally just supposed to be a regular frat boy. And that's kind of, I don't know. I could see someone protesting that and being like, that's stupid that this regular dude is supposed to be this lean and he's supposed to just be like this randomly and maintain that, because that changes, that messes up social standards and that makes people expect that when it's really not naturally possible. But with a movie like Batman, it's completely different because this dude's supposed to be like an elite level. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. And as far as my opinions with um fat shaming and like how the people are against that now, I think that really depends because there's a body positivity movement and there's like a normalizing like obesity movement. Those are two different things. So obviously there are girls out there like young girls who see like models like extremely scrawny like tiny little models and they think that's what I'm supposed to be, and these young girls, that's imprinted in their brains. So they develop these eating disorders even though they already look completely normal, and they become unhealthy. And that I think can be kind of fixed by the body positivity movement. I think that's warranted there. But with these people who are literally obese and they're trying to like have a social movement where people accept the fact that they're obese, I think that's really harmful because obviously that's not healthy and that's not okay, and society shouldn't be accepting obese people. Like,
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. I know, like teenage girls should not look in the mirror and say I'm fat when they're like 120 pounds.
yeah,
That shouldn't be happening. But if you're like 300 pounds, maybe you should be. I
that's
mean, because
yeah,
if you're 300 pounds as a teenager, that's very unhealthy, and your life probably isn't going to last as long as it would, and you won't
it's a
be as
situation like many
healthy.
others where they just take it too far. You know, like replacing extremely scrawny, like tiny little ridiculous models with like normal people, that seems fine. But replacing them with like, but then they went and they started replacing with these obese people who are probably going to die at like 40 years old, and that's where it just goes too far.
Plus size models is,
Yeah,
I think, what you're talking about.
normalizing what a
And there's
healthy
like plus
level
size
is.
model magazines and stuff.
Normalizing what the healthy level of a person should be is one thing, but being like, oh yeah, it's okay if you're like obese or like anorexic. That shouldn't be okay. Like
Yeah,
that's
no.
a legitimate problem that you need to go out and fix. Otherwise, you're just gonna die.
It's like they took the problem of us like glorifying anorexic people and just reversed it and made it like the same, just as bad. Like you're not fixing the problem by making fat people happy instead of anorexic people.
I think it's just it highlights an overall problem in the United States that most people can't seem to find the medium. It's like it's got to be one extreme or the other.
Yeah,
Or I think maybe this is something that's highlighted by social media is that a lot of is that maybe there are a lot of people in the middle, but the things that get highlighted most are like one side or the other far sides, like the far sided left that's going down and not like there are good people just protesting, and then there's the far side left who are like burn it down, defund the police, get rid of everything.
mm-hmm.
That's crazy and shouldn't be thought of. But because of social media, these people are able to gather together and like where they used to be just thought, oh, this is just one crazy person. Now we have social media, which is able to connect all these crazy people together, which makes this crazy ideology on each side more possible. And it's the same thing on the right because you've got these crazy who are like, well, I want to keep my guns. You want to keep my guns. Let's go bring your guns down and protest. And oftentimes they are not shooting people, but it's still kind of scary if you're going down the street and you see people with AKs and they're just like protesting with
Yeah,
them. Like I would be scared.
I don't think that you should like just take out your like rifle and just go out and protest with it. But I think it's okay to
Yes,
go to a protest and like keep a like having your concealed carry permit or something, and having like a handgun on your side or keeping it out invisible, because that's a legitimate thing. With today's society, people tend to get way too violent at protests, and a lot of protests end with like someone gets shot, someone starts burning down a building type thing. So I feel like wanting to keep that safety but still deciding to advocate for your rights is perfectly fine. Like,
I think that was kind of self-evident in what I was
well,
saying,
yeah,
that would be the happy medium that people should be finding. But because of social media, we're able to connect with everyone, so one crazy can find another crazy. Where before social media, that crazy was just kind of like off on their own, left out in the abyss in their little town. Like, we have a couple crazy people in our town, we're not going to deny it. Now, using social media, they can find other crazy people like them, which is going to be more beneficial to making a bigger group, which has bigger say. And I think that's a problem. And I think it's an overall problem America really faces here, where other countries laugh at us, where we can't find the easy solution because we're too far to one side or the other. I feel like that's a good place to end it. So, thank you guys for listening to the 4th episode of the Lunch Table Podcast. Next week, we'll be back with episode 5. If you have anything you want us to talk about, leave it in the comments. And have a good Thanksgiving.